All right, heavy hitter time outside our Beacon Hill studio. Cosmo Macero of O'Neill and Associates, Peter Cadges, formerly of the late Boston Phoenix. So much to get to, so little time, gentlemen. Let's start with this. As he's now being called in the FBI criminal complaint, bomber number 2, not going to be treated as an enemy combatant, not going to be a military tribunal. He has been read his Miranda rights, although he wasn't off the top. There's questions about whether he's going to get the death penalty or not. Cosmo, your take on bomber number 2?
Whether he gets the death penalty or not, ultimately, if he did, it may not even be able to be implemented. If you think back to the case, some people may remember Gary Lee Sampson, thrill kill suspect from the South Shore, got the federal death penalty, but that couldn't be administered in Massachusetts because there's no death penalty here. They kicked it up to New Hampshire. I think he's still on death row. That may be a factor down the road whether he gets it or not. Seems like something they might trade off for information, as much information as possible, about how this all came about.
Yeah, my guess, and it's an informed guess, is that the federal prosecutors will ultimately try to take the death penalty off the table. They'll use it to trade for information, and he'll plead guilty. That's my guess.
Alan Dershowitz, among others, had issues with them not giving him his Miranda rights at the top. Do you have an issue with that?
I understand why people are concerned. In this instance, no, I'm not. Because anything he tells them when he was not Mirandaized cannot be used against him. But I understand Dershowitz's concern. And Glenn Beck had the same concern, by the way.
For that period of time, they were assessing whether there was a continued public threat. I think the reality is there was such overwhelming evidence, physical evidence, that they knew they were compiling, that the trade-off, and maybe we will never be able to use this interview, was worth making to try to make sure there was no public.
In VB, if I could add something here, the fog of immediacy. This is happening in our backyard. It's much more complex than any of us understand yet. There are so many moving pieces that the media has to do its job in reporting it, but it's very emotional.
On the other hand, some things that aren't that complex. Let's talk about bomber number 1, so-called. Turns out now he left the country, and the reason why we weren't tracking him or following him is because they misspelled his name on his travel papers.
Right, but the people who misspelled it, that's a very good point, were the Russian officials at Aeroflot. They mixed the letter up, and that's the same thing that happened to the underwear bomber.
But at some point, this has got to get straightened out, Cosmo, where just because a letter is missing or is juxtaposed, we still have an eye on these guys.
Fair enough, a thing falls through the cracks, and there's implications significantly. I got to say, and since it's the first time I've had a chance to talk about this, just to commend not just Chief DeVoe, but all of the police involved in this. All of the first responders and public safety officials, easily to this point and probably beyond, the most amazing police work we'll ever witness in our lifetimes. Incredible public cooperation during that very trying day on Friday with the lockdown. It's remarkable after such a tragedy to see this kind of cooperation, this kind of police work, and I want to just say thanks.
There are also cases of just the physical courage that everyone, all of the first responders showed. You know, there's that photograph when the older runner falls down right when the bomb goes off, and you see these 3 Boston officers reaching for their guns, and they're running toward. I mean, the courage that takes is really remarkable.
On the other hand, we're usually standing here a week before a primary, and we're talking all primary all the time. Do you guys even know there's a primary, and do you even care?
I do know, I do care, and I watched the debate last night. Judging from my Twitter feed, not a lot of people were watching it. I have to say, I'd give it to Lynch on points, but Markey appears to be so far ahead that despite Lynch winning on points, I don't know if he made a dent. And
there's really just not a lot of sort of media oxygen to fuel Lynch's campaign. It's just the reality of it. You have to suspend the campaign, and even beyond that, when he begins the campaign again like now, no one's paying attention. So it's a tough spot for him to be in.
What's the turnout going to be next Tuesday based on the mood of the people right now?
Very good question. I mean, that's a question for the Secretary of State.
People with big boy pants on down there to make decisions like this, and yet no one cares.
Well, I'll be voting.
Cosmo, we'll see if it's raining, whether you're voting or not.
I'll bring the umbrella.
Early and often.
Peter Cadges, Cosmo Macero, they are the heavy hitters. Fox 25 News at 8 starts right now.